Okay, this video is on factorising trinomials. What the heck does that word mean? Tri means three, nomials refers to polynomials, so it just refers to a polynomial that has three terms in it. Okay, something plus something plus something. And in general, that'll be something x squared plus something x plus some number or something. So that is a trinomial there. Okay, and what we're doing today is we'll just look at two cases. Okay, if we're trying to factorise ax squared plus bx plus c, then if a is equal to 1, then we're going to do our first method of factorising. In other words, if it's just something like I just wrote at the top, so x squared, that's just got a 1 in front of there. So if the number in front of x squared is just 1, we're just going to try our first method of factorising. If a is not equal to 1, we're going to go with our second method, which is much harder. Second method, which we call cross multiplying. I'll get to that. In fact, it might even be in the second video. Okay, so we'll look at that. So in other words, for the first method will look something like x squared plus 2x plus 5, something like that, or x squared plus 7x minus 19. In other words, there's no number, I shouldn't have written 0, that's bad. No, but there's nothing in here. There's nothing in front of x squared, but it's a 1, okay, 1x squared. We don't bother writing that. So this is the sort of what the first method will look like, those ones. The second method will be if there is a number in front of that x squared, okay? Minus 20, what, I don't care. So, and then, or negative 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. That would be the second method, what we're looking at. Can you see how there's numbers in front of the x squared there? That would be the second method. But let's get going. I'm just going to jump straight into examples. But basically, for the first method, that if you have if you have x squared plus ax, I've already used a, but not, plus bx plus c, if that's what you're trying to factorise, then what you're looking for is to find two numbers that when you multiply them, you get c. Okay, and those same two numbers that when you add them, you get b. So that's what we're looking for. Find two numbers that when you multiply those two numbers you get c, that when you add them together you get b. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. This is very simple at the moment. X squared plus 3x plus 2. So what we've got here is we've got this positive c here, and we've got this, I'll do it in a different colour, but positive 2, we want to find two numbers that multiply together to give positive 2, and when you add them together they give positive 3. So can you think of those two numbers? And then what we do is we write it in two brackets like this, with x and x, and we write our two numbers in each of these brackets. So what are these two numbers? Firstly, always start with the two numbers that multiply together, because there's far less options for this one than this one. This has actually got infinite numbers you could add together with positive 3. Positive 2, let's think about two numbers that make 2. How about 2 and 1? In other words, positive 2 and positive 1. If we multiply those two together, we get positive 2. How about what happens when we add, I'll just write them down, so positive 1 and positive 2, when we add those two numbers together, what do we get? We get positive 3. So in fact, these are the two numbers that solve this little problem that I set you up here. And so all you do to factorise this is to write those two numbers in, positive 1 and positive 2. And that is that, we've factorised that, and that's it. That's what we've done. And you can check this by just expanding this quickly. X squared and x times positive 2 is positive 2x. 1 times x is positive x. 1 times 2 is plus 2. And you can see why this happens, or I hope you can see why this happens. You get your positive 1, positive 2 in here, that makes you 3, and yes, that's the correct answer. So let's just have a look at another example. X squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, so let's have a look at this. A little bit more tricky. You've got sort of negative answers. So we want two numbers that when you add them together you get negative 3, that when you multiply them together you get negative 10. So let's think about this. Start with your times together. Two numbers that make 10, okay? How about 10 times 1? Is there any way that out of 10 and 1, 10 times 1, that you can make negative 3? In other words, could you put a negative in front of there, a positive in front of there, and you add them together to get negative 3? No, that doesn't work. There's no way you can make negative 3. How about 5 and 2? 5 and 2. Is there any way that we can multiply these two together, add these two together to get negative 3? Well, actually maybe. How would we make negative 3? We would have to go negative 5 and positive 2. Negative 5 plus 2 actually equals negative 3, so that's correct. And also negative 5 times positive 2 is negative 10. So this is your answer right here. Okay. So all we do, once we've found the two numbers, is write your two brackets, write your x's, and write your numbers in there. Negative 5, positive 2. And you can check that if you want to expand that to check your work. Okay. Let's have a look, just another example or two. You'll get used to doing these. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Again, we've got positive 18. You need to find two numbers that multiply together to give 18, that when you add them together you get negative 9. Okay, let's have a think about this. Multiples of 18. Always start with your multiples here. Let's do 18 and 1. If you have 18 and 1, is there any way you can fiddle with this to put a positive in front of it or a negative in front to get negative 9? No, there's no way you can create negative 9 out of those. So let's ditch that. How about 9 times 2? 9 times 2 works. Is there any way you can put a negative or a positive in front of these to make negative 9? Well, no, you can't go negative 9 plus 2 or anything. No, that doesn't work either. So no. How about 6 and 3? 6 and 3 make 18. Oh, this looks a bit more positive. We need to make a negative 9. Can we create negative 9 out of these two by putting a plus or a minus in front of them? In fact, we can. Negative 6 minus 3. If we add those two together, we get negative 9. And if we times them together, negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. And so we've found our answer. All we do, write your two brackets, x, negative 6, negative 3. And that's basically it. And so if you've got x squared, just as a little bit of a summary, plus c, if c is positive, then both of your numbers will be, both numbers will have the same sign. Okay, both have the same sign. You'll see here, if you have a positive number, you have negative 6 and negative 3. Okay, if c is negative, then the numbers, well, one number will be positive, one number will be negative. Okay, so there's just a little guide, like in the previous example on the previous slide. If you've got a negative c, negative value of c there, then one of the numbers will be positive, one of the numbers will be negative, and that might just help you be able to figure stuff out. But that's basically all there is. In the next video I'll do cross multiplying, which is our second method of factorising these dudes. Thank you.